What's up guys, it's Jeremy Blanton with RE/MAX Southern Shores, and I'm here with another 2-Minute Tuesday, where this week we're going to share what things have changed in the last 4 years in real estate versus my first 4 years. Let's get started. Okay, so today marks 4 years for me back in the real estate business. I started in 2001, but took a break for a while, got back in 2014, and today, yes, today marks the 4-year anniversary of me getting back into the business. So I thought that it'd be fun today to talk a little bit about how real estate has changed in this last 4 years of me being in the business versus my first 4 years in the business. Now, if you didn't know, I've been a licensed real estate agent in Myrtle Beach since 2001. I actually started about a week after 9/11 happened. It was a great time to get into real estate, and well, things have changed just a little bit over the last 17 years. So let's put 2 minutes on the clock. I doubt I'm gonna get it done today in that time, but we'll put it on anyway, and let's get going with this. Alright, so the first thing that I saw that has changed definitely big time since when I started in the business is back in 2001 when I started, we got these big, clunky, massive books that had the homes listed in them for sale. They were like a phone book, and they were delivered to our office once a week, and you had to sit there and flip through the pages and see if there was a property that would meet your client's needs, and then call them and try to do it. The problem was if the home sold before you got to it, well, you were out of luck. Nowadays, everything is up to the minute. We now have an online system that takes all of our listings in the MLS, sticks them in, and as the minute they hit the market, everyone gets notified. The minute they go pending or sold, everyone gets notified as that as well. It updates every minute. So it's an awesome way for us to keep up with what's happening in our local real estate market. Allow people to know when new properties hit, when things are off, and also when things are sold. So that's the first thing that really has changed, which I have to say, it's a great thing. The second thing that has really changed a lot since when I got into real estate is the internet. Back when I started in 2001, websites were just starting to come around. People were just starting to get computers connected to the internet. We back then would connect with dial-up. We would use AOL as our service, and we would wait for it to go bing, 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 bing to connect us through. Then we could access the internet. Then we would have to wait for web pages to open. And while websites were starting to become very popular, they were not very good. They were actually very slow. Nowadays, if you want to be a successful real estate agent, you have to have some sort of an online presence. The statistics show that 95% of the consumers go online and search properties before ever talking to a realtor. So very few people nowadays are not doing that before they call somebody. And if we're a real estate agent that's trying to sell properties and pick up new clients, it's imperative to your business to be out there with a large online presence. The other things that have happened since is some of the big websites that are now major players in the real estate industry, places like Zillow, Realtor.com, Trulia, those types of websites and companies, they were really not even existent back then when I started in 2001. We didn't have that competition to deal with. Our job was much easier, and so we could just create some stuff, put it up on the internet, and it would start ranking pretty well and pretty easy. Search engine optimization wasn't even necessary back then to get people finding you online. Nowadays, it is crucial for an agent to be able to have a strong web presence, have a strong online presence that is out there getting people's eyes and capturing them for the different content that they have out there. We want people to realize we're the local experts, and the only way to do that is by creating content and sharing it out there. Social media? Yeah, that didn't exist back then. 2001 when I started, there was no such thing as social media out there. MySpace, none of those. Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, YouTube, none of those things existed back then. We didn't use those things. That's not how we marketed. If we wanted to market a property for sale, we were going to places like the Real Estate Book, Homes and Land Magazine, Myrtle Beach Homes Guide, places like that to market our properties. If we had a listing that was something very unique, we may put it in a special edition of the New York Times or the local newspaper, the Sun News, places like that. that's what we did to market a property for sale. It was very important back then that when we did an open house, we put it in the Sunday magazines and in the Sunday newspaper classifieds so that people knew, and we were spending a boatload of money on those things. We also did a ton of postcard and direct mails in order to get the word out there about our business and what we were doing. While that stuff is still important today to use for your business, it is not going to have the same power as it did back then. Here's a case in point. When I do an open house now, I share it online into different social networks and platforms like that, and it gets the word and brings people in. The last time I put an advertisement in the newspaper for an open house, I did it for 3 weeks in a row, spent well over $150, and had 0 people come to the open house from that newspaper ad. So is paper advertising in the newspaper as important these days? Not as much. Back in the day, when we were submitting offers to each other, we had to use the wonderful fax machine. And back then, it used paper on a roll. And you hope that the thing had enough toner that it didn't run out in the middle of you receiving your offer. And then what would happen is when you would make the changes and send it to your clients and they would sign it and then fax it back to you and then you would fax it. What would end up happening is by the end of it all, nobody could read anything because it had become so illegible on the contract. Nowadays, we don't use a fax machine for anything anymore. The only time I ever touch the fax machine is when I'm working with a bank that will not accept email contracts. Sometimes we still run into a few of those, but most of them are hopefully nowadays going over to a newer process. In fact, I don't even fax even contracts. If I'm going to do it, I scan it to myself, send it over to my clients for a digital signature. They can simply do it on their computer screen, tap it on their phone, and sign right there. Makes life much easier. Also, when we're done, we're not ending up with these really huge thick files. You know, when I worked with my father, we would sometimes have some files that would be this thick till it was said and done with all the paper and documents because we had to keep track of everything and keep a record of it in case there was any legal issues down the road. Nowadays, everything is done paperless. We simply scan it into our paperless pipeline that our company has, and it's all right there. My files nowadays can be that thick versus that thick. Makes life much easier and much more fast. We can also take that stuff, simply click a button or two, send it off to an attorney, to a home inspector, to a lender, to any parties that need to receive that information, making life much easier. The final thing that has really changed since when I got in the business versus now is the use of video. As you guys see a lot on my channel here, I'm using a lot of video these days. I'm creating content on neighborhoods, these 2-Minute Tuesdays, local features on restaurants and businesses and things like that. And as I continue to create them, it's building my brand, building my business more and more. Well, back in 2001 when I started, it was not used. We didn't do anything with video back then. And as we started video, and I'll share a little clip right here. Take a look at this.
Good morning. Here it is, Saturday, November 15th. Yeah, the 15th. About 9 in the morning, I'm just heading into the office to do floor duty for the day. Hopefully today we'll have a few calls come in, maybe a buyer or two looking to buy a property here in Myrtle Beach. And I figured I'd take a few minutes today and show you a little bit about Myrtle Beach as I head on in to my office.
Yeah, that video was pretty rough, but that was the first video that I ever created for real estate and put out online. Hopefully it wasn't too bad, but over the years, the quality of video has come up. The equipment that's used, no longer do we need to spend thousands and thousands of dollars to create good video, but we're using that more and more to not only reach out to potential buyers, but also to market our properties and market our listings for our clients. By doing that, the statistics show that by sharing stuff in video format, people retain 95% of it versus if it was in written format. So because of that, we're creating more and more of it. Hope you guys found value in this today. If so, make sure you give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and if you know somebody who's thinking about selling a property in the area or looking to buy in the Myrtle Beach area, I'd love the opportunity to talk a little bit with them, share a little bit about how I'm using things today to help make the process much easier for them and help them to buy or sell a property here in the area. Hope you guys have an awesome week and talk to you later. Bye-bye.